Today's Tuesday, September 10th, 2019. Coming up on Roland Martin Unfiltered, Election Day in North Carolina. This was a seat Republicans actually won, but remember, rampant voter fraud by Republicans in North Carolina. Isn't it amazing? GOP Chairwoman Roland McDaniel and Donald Trump, they've said nothing about that. I wonder why. We'll talk with someone on the ground there about that race. Crystal Mason, the woman jailed for voting in Texas, requesting a new trial. We'll give you the details from her attorney. The Congressional Black Caucus held an event today to commemorate the 400th anniversary of the first recorded forced arrival of enslaved African people to the U.S. We'll show you some of those highlights. Also, college athletes in California will soon be able to make money off their names and images. We'll tell you about a new bill that passed this week. And also, the Department of Justice says the FEMA official in charge of power restoration in Puerto Rico took bribes. She was arrested today, along with a couple other people involved as well. Plus, September is Prostate Cancer Awareness Month. We'll tell you what black men need to know about prostate cancer. It is time to bring the funk on Roland Martin Unfiltered. Let's go.
He's got it. Whatever the biz, he's on it. Whatever it is, he's got the scoop, the fact, the find. And when it breaks, he's right on time and it's rolling. Best believe he's knowing. Putting it down from sports to news to politics. With entertainment just for kicks, he's rolling. It's on go, y'all. It's Roland Martin, Rolling with Roland now. He's funk, he's fresh, he's real, the best. You know he's Roland Martin now.
All right, folks, Republicans love talking about voter fraud, votes being stolen. Last night, Donald Trump was in North Carolina campaigning for Republican for a special House race there. But isn't it interesting that you did not hear Donald Trump talk about how his own party stole votes of people there in North Carolina? That's the reason they're even having this special election, because of the rampant voter fraud from Republicans. Now, some say the House race there shouldn't even be a race there because it's in a district Trump won by double digits in 2016. Now, of course, this is where Dan McCready battled Republican Mark Harris to a near draw, but then absentee ballot fraud on Harris's part was revealed and the election was deemed invalid. Today is a rematch between McCready and Republican State Senator Dan Bishop. Joining us now to talk about this is Cynthia Wallace, chair of the North Carolina Democratic Party in District 9. Cynthia, glad to have you here. I just find it interesting how Donald Trump can run his mouth, lie about illegal votes in California because Hillary Clinton beat him by more than 3 million votes, and how silent the National Republican Party is to voter fraud, where their own people got busted and arrested and indicted for voter fraud there in North Carolina.
Yeah, so it actually, Roland, thank you for having me this afternoon. And it actually is election fraud. They love
election
to
fraud
talk about the voters doing fraud, but it's actually, this was election fraud. The voters were actually the victims this time. And they are remarkably silent, and they continue to act as if this seat is owed to them when they cheated in 2018.
And we say cheated, absolutely cheated, when we now know how they were basically throwing away absentee ballots, how you can have a district where double the number of Democrats requested ballots, but more Republican absentee ballots were turned in.
Exactly. And if you recall, I was with you back in February when the State Board of Elections actually threw out the 2018 election because they were doing what we call ballot harvesting. They were taking ballots from voters and in some cases even making selections for the voters. And there have been up to 7 people charged with this crime. And that is exactly why we are doing a redo election here in North Carolina District 9, because of the Republican efforts to steal the 2018 election.
What is the race looking like? Because, again, this is a district that Republicans should easily win, but what is it looking like on the ground there?
So I've been out quite a bit today, visiting multiple precincts around the county in Mecklenburg, which is the southeastern portion, which when they did the gerrymandering, they were hoping to take out and bring in the most Republican part of Mecklenburg County. And what has actually happened is this county has changed. And it's also with Trump and all of those antics, the folks in the suburbs are actually leaning much more Democratic. And so I was at one of our largest precincts probably about an hour ago, and there were strong numbers for a special election. I saw lots of people giving us thumbs up. I had on my Dan McCready t-shirt, and we're seeing some good things. We do know this is going to be a tight election, though. This is going to be a long night. This is a district that Donald Trump won by 12 points, but even with their mischief last year, Dan McCready was only behind by 905 votes. So tonight, we're looking for a positive night, but we know it's going to be tight. Everyone is definitely entrenched into their beliefs, even with all of the, the ballot and absentee ballot fraud that the Republicans did last year. But we're excited. During the early voting, we had a really nice advantage, a little bit more of an advantage the Democrats had going into Election Day than we actually had in 2018. So we're looking forward to positive results, but everyone's going to have to stay tuned because I don't think it's going to be a short night.
All right, then. Cynthia Wallace, we appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Okay, thank you.
All right, let's go to our panel. Joining us right now is Kelly Bethea. She's a communication strategist. Also, Melik Abdul, Republican, first of all, Vice President, Black Conservative Federation, and Michael Brown, former Vice Chair, DNC Finance Committee. Melik, why won't y'all talk about this election fraud? I mean, Donald Trump goes there. I mean, he's always talking about fraud. Oh, we got to protect our elections. And I keep trying to explain to you, your folks in North Carolina are something special, how evil and fraudulent they are. They literally were trying to steal elections down there.
Well, surely you can't be surprised that a president or any politician is not talking about things that paint their party in a negative.
Oh, no, but of all people, your guy, the guy you voted for, the guy you said you're going to vote for again, he is always talking about protect our elections, election fraud, voter fraud, but he's real silent. Roland McDaniel, real silent.
Of course.
Lindsey Graham, silent. Tom Tillis, Barr, silent.
Of course. And
so
again,
what? So election or voter fraud only matters if they think it happens from Democrats?
Well, we know that's how politics works.
No, but I'm asking you.
Well, they didn't respond, but I imagine that if Democrats this was something that painted Democrats in a negative light, that they would respond in the same way if it were Democrats in the reverse.
Michael,
so this is not, hypocrisy in politics, of course.
Michael, we're talking about just flat out theft of election. That's what we're talking about here.
Didn't 45 set up some kind of commission to study voter fraud, and it was rampant, and it's only rampant on the GOP side. So I understand your point is well taken. That politics is hypocrisy all over the place. The problem is it hasn't happened on the left. It's only happened on the right that I know of in court.
But to sit here, and Kelly, and look at what they did here, again, harvesting of ballots, literally going to folks' homes, taking their absentee ballots, and tossing them out.
No, it's disgusting. But I think the silence is more due to the fact that they honestly don't know what's about to happen with this election, as opposed to just the outright hypocrisy. Obviously, Trump is a winner, and he only talks about winning, and he only wants to highlight his wins. But when something happens where there's a very strong chance that he'll lose, because like Cynthia Wallace was saying, that district is possibly turning into a blue district because of what happened in previous elections. So with Trump not saying anything, that's probably him just kind of hedging his bets a little bit and seeing what the outcome is, as opposed to just outright hypocrisy, which is an everyday trait of his anyway.
What we're dealing with, you listen to what she said there, Michael. Republicans have better be real concerned. They're getting just destroyed in suburbs all across the country. I mean, you get Republicans who are freaking out in Texas. Well, and now you got lots of Republicans who are also retiring. They see what's about to come down in 2020. They are not, House Republicans are not trying to be in the minority for a while, and they see what's coming down the pipe.
Well, anytime you send a president, I don't care what party or who's in the administration, down for a special election in a seat that's been won by Republicans for the last, 35 years or whatever?
A president and a vice president.
So that tells you their internal polling shows that even districts that are safe GOP seats are in deep, deep trouble. We saw it in 2018. It's not like this is some outlier. We saw what happened in 2018, and maybe we'll have good news tomorrow.
You know what? We talked on this show about this whole issue of, again, Republicans and their efforts to essentially steal elections. And we talked about, last time we were here, Melik, I talked about how it was Republican Party. It was the party. Mm-hmm. It was the party when it came to how they wanted voter suppression. And you were just sort of adamant about, no, that wasn't the case in terms of, in terms of where they are. But we're now getting more information from the hard drives of Thomas Hoffler. He, of course, the Republican who died, who was the one who was their chief guy when it comes to gerrymandering all across this country. And first of all, we only know about his hard drive because his estranged daughter got a hold of the computer and found these files. Now they are being used in these court cases. We saw this ruling in the North Carolina courts, nearly 400 pages where it broke it down. And now we know from his own records how he was factoring race into how these districts were being drawn. And I kept telling you that this is a party-wide deal. You kept saying, no, no, no. But it's amazing how state party after state party after state party and national Republicans were hiring him to draw their maps. It is clear that it is Republican Party, they're playing by the Republican Party to not only use race to draw these gerrymandered districts, but also it was by design to suppress the vote. It's not even in question now because it wasn't like it was one state. We're talking about state after state after state after state after state. So how can you still deny that it's the Republican Party's goal to have voter suppression?
Well, I don't think that. I mean, we're talking about what was on someone's hard drive.
No, not someone.
Well,
the guy who...
I'm not familiar with him, so I really
can't.
Hold up.
You're not familiar with Tom Hoffler?
No, I'm not.
Okay. Are you not familiar with the census case when the question was asked about citizenship? Mm-hmm. He was the one who told the Trump administration to put that on. We know that because of the hard drive. Yeah, are you not familiar with the cases dealing with political gerrymandering?
Which one?
That's the point.
You know what I'm saying? But you mean the Maryland one with the Democrats? Or?
I'm talking about the one with North Carolina and Wisconsin and Texas and Florida. I mean, I can keep going. This is the guy. This is the guy who got cancer and said, until my last dying breath, we're going to gerrymander as many of these districts as possible. The Republican apparatus put him on the payroll, and right now they're fighting in court to keep his hard drives secret by saying it was work product.
Well, I think we just saw it. Wasn't it in the Maryland case, where the Maryland gerrymandering case, where the Democrats actually withdrew the map? And I think the Supreme Court.
And the Maryland case, actually, the Supreme Court what?
Didn't the Supreme Court in that they kind of tossed it back or to the lower court?
No, actually, what the Supreme Court ruled is Supreme Court ruled that they could not determine political gerrymandering. Now, in the Maryland case, there was one congressional district. With Republicans, it's the entire state.
Okay. Well,
hold up.
That's one congressional district.
No. Let me paint the picture for you, because obviously you think it's the same. There's a difference between a single congressional district
gerrymandering
and every single congressional district, state Senate district. Republicans gerrymandered the entire state. Your boys in North Carolina even tried to strip the Supreme Court of their power, which is the highest court in the land, in North Carolina, and give it to a lower court, a court below them. So y'all take it to a whole new level. So again, if state after state after state hired this guy, doesn't that prove that this is the Republican Party's focus nationally?
Well, no, it doesn't.
Okay, all right.
Well, it just doesn't, and I'm not going to agree with you on that. As far as this guy, I mean, if I were more familiar with him, maybe I would be able to have a better conversation on it.
Okay, you might want to look.
No, I still don't.
You might want to look him up. Hoffeller.
I will do that.
You might want to do that because trust me, this is the guy who, again, Republicans nationwide hired him, Kelly, to draw these districts. And they have evidence on his own hard drives how he was parsing districts based upon racial data.
to Malik's point, though, wrong is wrong. If Maryland is, like no one's disputing that what happened in Maryland is wrong. What we are establishing is an MO of the Republican Party to gerrymander entire states.
Right, like the whole state.
The entire state. And the difference between that, Malik, is that the Democrats don't have that MO. Not established.
You can't dispute that.
It's not established.
You can try,
the Democrats
but you can't
have
dispute that.
There isn't. I don't think there's a lot of evidence of the Democrats doing what Republicans are doing. But I don't think that.
Well, that's the point of this conversation.
I'm sorry. That's what.
But I think part of what we were talking about last week, and even a follow-up to this week, whether this is something that's sanctioned. It's sanctioned.
Oh no, it's sanctioned. Hold up.
And it
just
here's why
people in the Republican Party hired him to do certain things, but it doesn't mean that that's.
Why do you think that the Republican Party is an entity on its own without people?
Well,
people make up the Republican Party.
Right. But just because, for instance, we can just throw out something like, to say that, well, there are Democrats who support abortion. And this is something that the Democrats support, like their evidence to support that, well, Democrats actually do support like killing babies or something. I mean, that's not the position of the Democratic Party is not to kill babies, but that's a consequence of what.
But Malik, we have a guy who was hired in Massachusetts, Mississippi, Alabama, Virginia, North Carolina, state after state after state. So again, I'm just trying to understand what the hell are you talking about. This is the guy who also was but one who split North Carolina A&T in half to ensure a Democrat wouldn't win. Split a black college in half.
North Carolina.
So at A&T, you can be on one side of the street and you in one congressional district, and then the other one.
I remember.
This is the guy who actually did it.
Yeah, well,
and it was all by design to dilute black voting power.
Well, I knew about the case. I didn't know that's.
This is the guy.
Actually,
this is the guy.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know that. You can't fault me for what I didn't know.
I'm just saying.
But I definitely remember that case, though.
Yeah, this is the guy. And also, you keep saying how a Republican hired him. Yeah, but you have Republican organizations who want to keep his file secret.
Well, I would imagine so. Again, we're getting back to the whole hypocrisy argument. No one's going to want any information that comes out publicly that paints them in a bad light. I don't think that's. It shouldn't be that much of a surprise that that's something that the Republican people want to hide whatever information he has on his hard drive. That doesn't surprise me.
Okay.
It just doesn't.
Gotcha. Well, to show you the hypocrisy again, folks, when you talk about that, you look at what happened in Texas with Crystal Mason, of course, a sister who previously was in federal prison. She voted in the election, did not realize she could not vote, and again, book thrown at her upwards of 5 years in prison. And so she today, of course, went to court with an appeal in that particular case. And you talk about, again, an absolutely crazy story. And it's not like you have folks who are saying, okay, innocent mistake. It makes no sense to put her in jail for this long. Nah, Texas Republicans have been real quiet about that one. Joining us right now is her attorney, Kim Cole. Kim, how you doing?
I'm fine, Roland. How are you?
I'm doing great. Crystal, how are you?
How you doing? I'm fine. Thanks for asking.
All right. So what happened in court today, Kim?
So today, the Second Court of Appeals heard our oral arguments for Crystal's appeal, and they will be making a ruling on that sometime within the next few months or so. There isn't a specific time limit or amount of time that they will be returning a ruling. It could take months. Some cases have actually taken years.
Right.
So we're just awaiting their ruling, but they did hear our oral argument today.
So so Crystal, exactly where are you now? Are you out of prison? Are you in a facility? Are you at home?
I'm at home.
So explain for the folks exactly what's happening with you.
I'm at home right now. I'm still on supervised release on the federal level, and I'm fighting the 5 years on the state level right now.
So you serve your federal time, they said, for violating your parole conditions, but this 5 years, that's on the state level.
Correct, yes.
And Kim, do you not have people in Texas who are saying this is ridiculous that you would try to send somebody to prison for 5 years for an innocent mistake such as voting?
Certainly, there are plenty of people here in Texas who find this Crystal's conviction absolutely ridiculous.
Any Republicans?
No.
Okay.
No. I was joined by the ACLU, and they presented the oral argument today. Of course, the ACLU has been working very hard. They joined us on Crystal's case a couple of months ago, and they've been working very hard to fight this unjust conviction.
Yeah, so it is just, again, it's crazy when you look at this particular case, when you look at the fact that they prosecuted this case. It makes no sense whatsoever. Crystal, how has this impacted your family? I know at one point we were putting the GoFundMe out because you were possibly losing your home. So, what's happening again now?
Right now, I'm still trying to put the pieces back together. Also, the GoFundMe account has been keeping us afloat. Mm-hmm. And I'm just when I went back and got back on supervised release, they implemented a form now, and it's a form that lets you know about your voting rights. It actually lays it out and let us know now that while on supervised release, we're ineligible to vote. Well, if I had that, I signed that form July the 22nd, 2019. But if that form was available August 2016, I wouldn't be going through this right now.
Well, it certainly is ridiculous that Texas is spending the amount of money going through this. Just makes no sense whatsoever. So certainly keep us up to date on what's going on, and we'll keep letting our people be aware of this case.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Roland.
Appreciate it, Crystal Mason, Kim Cole. Thanks a lot. Melody, this is stupid. This is stupid that the prosecutor there in Texas and the folks there are pursuing this case here. 5 years. That is an absolute waste of resources. Somebody who already had parole revoked, who went back into federal prison, came out. It's stupid to say, fine, we're still going to try to send you to Texas prison for 5 years. Yeah,
I mean, I totally agree with that. Don't know what's going on with Texas.
Easy, they probably moved from Mississippi.
Don't try to put that on Mississippi.
They probably moved from Mississippi.
Don't try to put that on Mississippi. This is deep in the heart of Texas.
Right there in Fort Worth, a very red county.
Yeah.
That's your party.
Well, it's your state.
I know, and I'm calling them out in my state for being foul, Michael.
What I can say about what's happening in your state is that this sounds ridiculous, and especially in an era where we're talking about criminal justice reform, sentencing reform, to put people back in jail, to make the taxpayers pay for whether it was an intentional or not, essentially is a clerical-like mistake to send someone to jail for really any significant length of time, a year even, or 6 months even. It just sounds ridiculous, and so I think she's appealing, but I hope that she goes home.
This is pure trash, Michael. It's a waste of resources.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, we all know about the First Step Act, and that's great, and it's a great start. But until you deal with sentencing reform, it doesn't matter what you do with making sure that the First Step Act is implemented.
But the First Step Act is on the federal level.
Right.
This is state.
And I'm not even suggesting this should have been even a fine crime. I think this is one of those, you stand in front of the judge and the judge says, hey, don't do this again.
Right. Especially when her parole officer testified.
Correct.
She did not know she couldn't vote.
Correct.
It's
but
crazy.
There was no intent. Without intent, you can't break a law.
Kelly is crazy. But again, we see how the GOP plays this game. Again, this is a Republican district attorney, Republican judge who she went forward in Texas, and let's throw the book at her.
What really surprises me is that she wasn't the only one who did this at that time. So when I was reading about this case, out of the 4,500 people who cast provisional ballots, about 3,990 of those 4,500 people, those ballots were rejected. But she's the only one who ended up in court. It just seems like they're making an example out of her for no reason, and this is like the weakest case to make an example out of somebody.
It does. They're making an example out of her. Absolutely.
Yep, black folks.
But at what cost? And that's That's the problem.
I'm pretty sure that some of that 3,000 number, I'm pretty sure that a number of them were black too, but.
Either way, it's still wrong. Like,
Yeah,
if any of those people were being convicted.
Which is why I said that it was wrong. But whether or not, you know, as you said, I think that they wanted to make an example out of her, and that's what they're doing. And I hope that she wins her appeal or whatever and goes home soon.
As opposed to those in North Carolina who actually participated in rampant election fraud. Gotcha. All right, folks, going to a break. We come back. We'll talk about Prostate Cancer Awareness Month. And what's up with Trump and his falling polling numbers? Why is he losing his mind? Dude, suck it up, okay? You suck. People don't like it. Roland Martin Unfiltered, back in a moment.
Roland.
You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real as Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered daily digital show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing $50 each for the whole year. You can make this possible. RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. That's my man Gerald Albright there, folks. He could be one of the performers at the Luxe Jazz Experience taking place in Cabo, November 7th through the 11th. For his top-notch music, upscale destination. Got a week-long events planned at the Omnia Day Club, Los Cabos, nestled in the Sea of Cortez and the celebrity playground of Los Cabos, Mexico. The Luxe Jazz Experience offers the ultimate getaway for jazz aficionados. Folks, it's going to be food, alcohol, fine, like I say, golf, spa, health, wellness, all that good stuff. I'll be broadcasting Roland Martin Unfiltered from there that Thursday and Friday. The second annual Luxe Jazz Experience also will include many concerts, the Spirit of Jazz Gospel Brunch, and Jazz Sunset Cruise. The confirmed guests, comedian actor Mark Curry, as I said, Gerald Albright, Alex Bouillon, Raul Madan, Incognito, Pieces of a Dream, Kirk Whalum, Average White Band, Donna McClurkin, Shalea, Roy Ayers, Tom Brown, Ronnie Laws, and Ernest Quarles. For more information, visit lifeluxejazz.com, LIFELUXEJAZZ.com. Again, like I said, November 7th through 11th. You want to book your package now, of course. That way you can lock in the cheapest airline flights. We're going to have a great time down there. So while folks are cold in Northeast as well as the Midwest, we'll be chilling in the sun in Cabo. So lifeluxejazz.com. All right, folks, let's talk about this issue, this being Prostate Cancer Awareness Month, a crucial issue, obviously, for men, but especially African-American men who have a much higher rate of prostate cancer than anyone else. 1 in 6 African-American men will develop prostate cancer in his lifetime. Overall, African-American men are 1.7 times more likely to be diagnosed and 2.3 times more likely to die from prostate cancer than white men. Joining us right now to talk about these risk factors, Dr. Adam Metwali, Chief of the Division of Urology at Howard University Hospital. Doc, how you doing?
I'm doing very well, thank you.
All right,
Thanks for having me.
so let's talk about this. So first of all, I remember it was a few years ago when there was this whole deal about the test, whether they should take it, should not. I had black male doctors said, the hell with that panel, get that test done.
I think that was the right choice, honestly. The United States Preventive Task Force gave PSA screening a D rating initially back in 2012. And what happened was it created a lot of confusion. Not that there wasn't a lot of confusion on how to appropriately interpret a PSA test anyway. But what ended up happening as a result of that is that PSA screening has actually gone down quite a bit in this country. And what we're beginning to see is actually an increased incidence of men presenting with more advanced disease now than we've seen in the past. And one of the problems that has arisen as a result of this is that for folks who were at higher risk, and African Americans are, men with a family history, and as it turns out, African American men tend to more likely have a first degree relative, father, uncle, cousin, with prostate cancer, which puts you at a higher risk category, almost 3 times higher risk of having it compared to the general population. Folks like that were not getting screened, and so some of these cancers are getting away from us at this point, and that's an unfortunate byproduct of this. I liken it to throwing the baby out with the bathwater. PSA testing is not a perfect thing by any means, but by stopping it altogether, it's a bit like an ostrich sticking their head in the sand. I've always felt like having more information is better. Just because you get diagnosed with prostate cancer doesn't necessarily mean it needs to be treated. And while the United States Preventive Task Force did note that there was an rate of over-biopsy and over-treatment, what they didn't acknowledge is that urologists had actually figured this out some years ago, and more men were being put on active surveillance for low-risk disease. And so we were already making changes when this recommendation came out. That's since changed to a C rating. And part of the reason is that while PSA stands for prostate-specific antigen, it's not actually specific to prostate cancer at all, and it can be elevated for a number of reasons. And it requires a little bit of nuance to tease out exactly what's going on. But rather than stop screening entirely, we need to just be smarter about how we're using it.
So, when should men, specifically black men, get tested? And is it annual? Is it every 2 years? What is it?
Well, that's a great question, and it depends. I wish there was an easy answer.
So, so my family. So my uncle got it when he was 77. There are no other men in my family who've had prostate cancer.
As far as you know.
Well, in terms of, no, we talk. But in terms of, when I think about uncles, when I think about great uncles, grandfathers on both sides, that was my great uncle. That was the only one. He got it when he was 76.
So the reason why I was saying that isn't that you don't communicate with your family, but actually prostate cancer is a disease of age. If you live long enough, you're going to get it. So if you took 100 men who all die on their 80th birthday and you look at their prostates, what percentage of them do you think would actually have prostate cancer? 80%. So if you live long enough, you're going to get it. But of those 100 men, how many do you think are actually going to die of prostate cancer? 1 or 2%. So it's a cancer you have, but you don't necessarily die from.
Got it.
Just because you don't die from prostate cancer doesn't mean it's not going to cause you problems. If you develop bone mets or bladder outlet obstruction, it can really ruin your quality of life. So there's, again, a little bit of nuance to this. So for African-American men, we typically recommend at least an initial screening sometime, in their 4th decade. So 40, 45, somewhere around there.
Right.
If you have a family history, you really need to kind of do that. For Caucasian men and other ethnicities, 50 is kind of when we start looking at it.
Is it annual or?
Well, again, it depends.
Got it.
And it really depends on what your number is.
Okay.
And I think the NFL has a campaign called Know Your Number.
Right.
And it's really important for men to take ownership of their health.
So just like with blood pressure, know your number.
You got to know your number,
know
and your blood sugar and everything else, and what your weight is. Don't avoid the scale just because you're afraid of what it's going to tell you. And so if you're the lower, there is no safe PSA number. You can have prostate cancer with a very, very low PSA, but it's far less likely. So if your number is less than 1, you're probably in pretty good shape, and you probably don't need to be screened every year. Now, again, nuance. If you have a family history, you might want to get screened every year anyway.
So if it's lower than 1, so what, every 2 years?
Yeah, so when they did the screening studies in Europe, and obviously people of African descent were underrepresented in those studies, they were not doing a screening on an annual basis. The American studies that look at screening were done more annually. And so every 2 to 3 years is probably a reasonable interval, but it kind of, again, depends. Let's say you're 50, but you're 100 pounds overweight, you got a med list as long as my arm, and you're dragging your, oxygen tank behind you, you probably you don't need to be prostate screened at all. Something else is going to get you. So again, there has to be a little bit of taking the bigger picture into account when you make these decisions. This is why the AUA really lobbied for what we call shared decision making. You need to talk to the patient. You need to explain to them what their risk is. And then they kind of have to decide for themselves, because this can be a rabbit hole you really go down if you have a high PSA and you need a biopsy. The biopsy is not the most pleasant thing you're ever going to undergo. And it has some side effects, blood in the urine, blood in, this and that. Some erectile dysfunction can potentially be a cause, or a result, I should say. So you have to really be making an intelligent decision, and that requires a lot of information, a lot of conversation. And unfortunately, our medical system doesn't really, it isn't conducive to having these more nuanced conversations about these things.
All right. Well, Doc, we certainly appreciate it. Thanks a lot for the information. And if someone needs more information, where should they go?
Well, the American Cancer Society, the Prostate Cancer Foundation, they all have a lot of information about this where you can really learn. And there is information that's geared specifically toward African Americans. And I think the recommendations are really quite good.
All right. Appreciate it. Head of Urology, Howard University Hospital. We appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. It's
All
been a
right,
pleasure.
folks. An event today held at the Capitol by the Congressional Black Caucus focused on the 400th anniversary of the first 20-odd Africans arriving in the United States. Here's some of the highlights.
Today's commemoration is a recognition and an acknowledgement of the beginning of the 256-year history of enslavement in our country. The period that began before our nation was officially the United States of America and ended with the Civil War. A period in our history that was about the entire nation, not just about one region of the nation. So we are so fortunate to live in this amazing country with our incredible history. We celebrate certain parts of our history and the ideals that are the foundation of our country. But we have been reluctant to examine and embrace all of our history. We can't just embrace the parts of our history that make us feel good. We need to embrace the parts that are difficult as well. The difficult parts don't disappear, even if we pretend they didn't happen, or if we just have a hard time believing that it couldn't have been that bad. The truth of the past just lingers below the surface, leaving us perplexed why some challenges continue to today. All of our history is what makes this country a great country. Acknowledging, learning, and then understanding are the first steps toward collective healing. And the knowledge of the complete American story hopefully encourages us all to continue the fight to build a more perfect union. A union where the ideals of our nation are not just a reality for some, but we must continue to make the ideals of our nation a reality for all.
Slavery was a tremendous economic boom for America. Indeed, it was slavery that built the foundation of America's economic might. But let us not forget that so much else happened during enslavement. So much else happened that speaks to the capacity of a people to make a way out of no way. It is the resistance to enslavement and the resilience of an enslaved people that we must recognize and honor on this occasion. Why are there such stark differences in the life experiences of Black and white Americans? The answer is found in how enslavement and the years of racial discrimination that followed have affected each and every institution in our nation. As we continue to perfect our democracy, carrying on the struggle from previous generations, we must own our nation's history of enslavement and racial discrimination. Owning our history allows us to break free from its shadow, empowering every American of goodwill to have the courage to challenge everyday expressions of bigotry and hatred, and to be a nonviolent activist against systemic inequality.
I am humbled to my core to be standing here this morning between the rightful recognition of Frederick Douglass and the remarkable peoples whose forced labor built this great structure in which we continue to struggle towards perfecting our union. And this is not a metaphor. This towering nation was built solidly upon the backs of our forebearers. the verdant landscape watered with the sweat and tears of the African cargo shipped to America, the soil enriched by my people's blood. Every day in this land, since the African arrived in bondage, has been a demonstration for the ages of resilience, intelligence, perseverance, intuitiveness, discipline, and self-actualization. Shirley Chisholm, Marion Wright Edelman, you are the dream and the hope of the slave. Colin Kaepernick, you are the dream realized. Carla Hayden, Brian Stevenson, 55 CBC members strong, you are the dream and the hope of the slave. Fannie Lou Hamer, Barbara Jordan, Barack Obama, you are the dream and the hope of the slave. Bayard Rustin, Toni Morrison, Michelle Howard, Colin Powell, you are the dream. James Baldwin, Michelle Obama, you are the hope. Donald Glover, you are the dream fulfilling. Oprah Winfrey, Mae Jemison, Langston, Jay-Z and Mrs. Carter, you are the dream. Charles Drew, John Lewis, and every Sadie, Beulah, Caledonia through the years, and every Kanisha, Jamal, and the tray to come. You are the dream and the hope of the slave.
All right, here we go, y'all, folks. We come back. We're going to talk about California now allowing college athletes to get paid off of their own likeness. Ooh, you know these colleges are not going to be happy about that, and the NCAA. We'll break it down next. Roland Martin Unfiltered. You want to check out Roland Martin Unfiltered? YouTube.com/Roland S. Martin. And subscribe to our YouTube channel. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. It's Roland Martin Unfiltered. See that name right there? Roland Martin Unfiltered. Like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's YouTube.com/Roland S. Martin. And don't forget to turn on your notifications so when we go live, you'll know it. All right, folks, you heard me talk a lot about marijuanastock.org. Why? Because I want to keep you informed of investment opportunities that make sense. We've all watched the growth of the cannabis industry. A recent report by New Frontier Data estimates the global cannabis market at more than $340 billion. Of course, marijuana legalization is sweeping the country state by state. We know that marijuana has a good cousin, the hemp plant, with a much higher concentration of CBD. That means hemp gives you all the medical benefits of marijuana without getting you high. Until recently, hemp farming was practically illegal in the U.S. and heavily regulated by the DEA. However, the 2018 Farm Bill recently passed in Congress, making it legal to grow hemp CBD in the U.S. and creating one of the largest commodities worldwide. They need land to grow all of the plants. Folks, this is simple. It's an incredible investment opportunity. And that's where our good friends at 420 Real Estate come in. Their business model is simple. They buy land that supports hemp CBD grow operations and lease it to licensed, high-paying tenants. They are hemp CBD landlords, and you can get in on the action. Now, what they've done for the folks at Roland Martin Unfiltered is allow for you to make a minimum investment of $200. The initial investment was $500. You can invest this in the crowdfunding campaign. That's right, $200 up to $10,000. Now, again, all you got to do is go to marijuanastock.org. That's marijuanastock.org to get in the game and get in the game now. Now, y'all know how I feel about athletes being able to get paid. I'm absolutely in support of it. Well, in California, lawmakers have voted to undo the NCAA amateur rules, and the bill is now being sent to be signed by Governor Gavin Newsom. Both the University of Southern California and Stanford University are opposed to the bill. I wonder why. It will make it possible for college athletes in the state to make money from their names, images, or likenesses. The bill isn't yet a law, and a lot might change before it goes into effect in 2023. Now, I don't know why in the hell they got to take that long, but it's far enough along to start sorting through the implications of what it might mean for college athletes and what is coming next. I want to go to our panel. Mike, I want to start with you. Look, I think it's shameful. You can have a university that you can have a player who's been gone 20 years and they're still selling his jersey. they're still making money off of that jersey. And of course, USC and Stanford is opposing this because they don't have to pay any royalties to these athletes. And the reality is, athletes should be able to get paid off of their likeness because that's why you're buying that jersey. If it's a star athlete who's number 10, you ain't wearing number 10 for the hell of it. You're wearing it because that athlete wore 10.
And, you know, the argument that the NCAA uses, or certainly some universities, is that, well, what they're getting is a college education, tuition free. And that may be true, but I think they're making way more for the university than what that tuition costs. So I do believe that they should be able to make money off their likeness. Why not? And I'm sorry, if you're a bench rider, you don't get it. If you're a star, you get it.
Yeah, I'm on the fence about it. You know, I get it. I get the principle behind it. I do think, you know, as you make the point about, you know, they do get college tuition, and I think some of them actually get stipends. And I think to your
well, first of all, the stipend is relatively new because of the criticism that took place there. And the other piece is this here when you talk about scholarships. Okay, it's not like you actually get a 4-year scholarship. You get grants in aid, which means it has to be renewed every year. That coach can pull your scholarship.
Right.
Okay.
And I think when you were saying about, I think 2023.
The law goes into effect.
Yeah, I think when I was reading about that, to actually give them time to sort out all of the details. But you know, I'm still, you know, when I think about the article, Jamel Hill's article, talking, you know, encouraging players to go to HBCUs, I was thinking about that, and I wondered. I said, well, what will be the practical effect if that happened? You know, where, you know, if this actually became widespread, and then will those athletes even consider an HBCU because there's not as much money to be made going to an HBCU as opposed to some of these, you know, Big Ten schools?
Well, first off, the reason that you're not able to make that much money is because they don't have the same television contracts, and they don't have the same television contracts because they don't have the same athletes, your top tier athletes. The reality is you can flip this model overnight if your top tier athletes went to HBCUs. But Kelly, with this bill, I think is important. What it does is it gives the athlete, like for instance, it was utterly ridiculous when Terrell Pryor was at Ohio State and got suspended because he was making money off signing jerseys. Yet, the university can put 20 jerseys in front of him, sign them, and then take those and go sell them to boosters and go sell them other ways, and it's his autograph.
I don't understand how this current business model is not slavery, because you have students, predominantly black bodies, making money for a school and not seeing any type of profit whatsoever. These institutions are making billions of dollars.
And in fact, check this out. If Kelly went to, what school did you go to?
Bowie State.
Okay, if you went to Bowie State and you had a music scholarship.
Right.
Okay, and let's say you were in the band. Maybe you weren't in the band, you had a music scholarship.
I did, actually.
Kelly can go perform in a band, in the club, and get paid. And it has no bearing on your Bowie State music scholarship. But if you're an athlete, and here's how crazy the rules are. If you are a football player and you're a journalism major, and let's say you went to the local newspaper and said, I want to write a column during football season or just during the whole year. You are not allowed to write the column because that's saying you're taking advantage of your football prowess.
And yet,
even if you're a journalism major.
Right. And yet you're taking advantage of my athletic talents, making money off of me that I don't even get to see. So the entire premise is ridiculous. The reason why the 3 years are in effect is because there are like legitimate concerns that need to be, you know, flushed out before this law goes into effect. So, for instance, international students, you know, work visas, things like that. But the other concerns are really just concerning greed and how these institutions just do not want to pay people, black bodies predominantly, for actually giving their talents to the school. Like, a college tuition isn't going to cut it, especially when a lot of these athletes don't finish their tenure.
Well, and what's crazy is that if you look at baseball, okay, we take all these different sports, okay, baseball, football, basketball. Look, they go to card shows, and people literally line up, and they pay $50, $75, $100 a pop for an autograph. if I'm a college student and I'm broke as hell and I'm playing ball, and you tell me now I can sit here and say, all right, $10 an autograph, and there's 100 people line up, I get that $1,000, baby, I'm good.
Especially when you have students who actually need that money, because even with the tuition scholarship and even with the stipends, they're still broke.
Well, the reason they even got the stipend, it was because there were some basketball players who talked about Monday through Friday, when the cafeteria closes, they were starving on weekends. Or when they came back late from games, not having any money to eat. And so it embarrassed the NCAA, but then they all of a sudden passed this emergency rule allowing for additional food stipends for the players.
Yeah, well, I think, there are a lot of white guys who can play a lot of good ball. So I don't think this is something that's really isolated to.
No, I said predominantly.
No, I just asked. She said predominantly.
I said predominantly black bodies, because that's what it is.
Basketball, football.
Okay, no, hold up. There are only two revenue-generating sports. There's only two revenue-generating sports, okay? It's basketball and football. She said predominantly black. More than 65% of the players, okay, are going to be black. In football, about 90% in basketball.
I don't think that we need to make this a racial issue.
No, she said predominantly black. She didn't say that.
But even if you're talking
Malik, define predominantly. Malik, where you from?
Well, I'm from Mississippi.
How many black players in Ole Miss?
And what Kelly mentioned.
How many black? You know what? Matter of fact, let me pull this up right now.
And while you're doing that, I'll finish my point. And what Kelly mentioned when she actually invoked slavery, the enslavement of black bodies and things like that, I just typically reject all comparisons.
Well, no.
I don't think.
Okay, hold up. First of all,
I don't think anything is like slavery.
Okay, first of all, you need to also keep up with the Constitution. Slavery still exists.
Right.
Slavery currently exists based upon the United States Constitution. Prisoners, that's slavery. The Constitution. No. So when she says it's slavery, we need to stop acting as if the only form of slavery is what took place when you had black folks who were in chains and free. The reality is slavery still exists in 2019. In fact, it's even more so where you have major corporations who are paying inmates, in some cases, 15 and 20 cents to make products for those companies.
Less than.
Okay, well, when the enslaved people didn't get that stipend. So they didn't get anything.
No, but the point is, if we really want to be technical, slavery exists right now, what's happening in the prison system. And the bottom line here, Michael, is real simple. What we are looking at right now is we're looking at athletes who are putting it on the line, and it's stupid that I am the star player and I can't make money off my own autograph. My autograph. Yet, I could sign, when Johnny Manziel won the Heisman at Texas A&M, Johnny Manziel signed 4 or 5 helmets that were auctioned for 50 to 70 grand a piece.
I remember that.
Come on.
Yeah.
I mean, I think if we asked, and obviously we're not in that time now, if we asked the slave master, do you think you're giving stipends to your slaves? He'd say, absolutely. They have a shack. They get scraps of food. What do you mean they don't get a stipend? I'm taking care of them. They're living pretty large, if you ask me. That's what the slave master would say. So, so I have to correct that for the record. But I do believe that, this is a stupid argument. Of course, athletes should get paid for using their likeness.
Henry, do y'all have my computer up?
Oh, he's found Ole Miss.
Y'all don't?
Oh, goodness.
Okay.
He's going to turn it around.
Check that. Check that.
He's going to use his prop.
Check that. Y'all see it now?
Here comes the prop.
Here comes Ole Miss, the
you
roster.
See it now? I know. Okay. All right, y'all. This is the roster
folks.
at Ole Miss. If y'all, what you do? You just turn something off. Okay. Put it back.
And while we're getting that together, and Roland is going to show us
no, I'm going to show you.
Roster
Come on,
to prove
let's get the
Kelly's point
together.
that it's predominantly black. So.
All right, do you see it now? All right, let's go ahead and see if we can get this HDMI cable straight. Okay, now we see it? Okay.
All right, we're good to go, folks.
All right, guys, here we go. All right, scroll it. I'm going to go ahead and increase it. Y'all can see over here. You can see right there. Brother.
Might be brother.
Might be brother. Brother. Light-skinned brother. brother, white guy who's a quarterback. Brother, white guy quarterback. White guy, brother, white guy, brother, white guy, brother, brother, white guy, brother, white guy, brother, white guy, white guy, brother, white guy, white guy, 4 in a row, wow, brother, white guy, white guy, brother, white guy, brother, white guy, brother, white guy, white guy, white guy, white guy. White guy, brother, 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 white guy,
Yeah, they don't start, and they're kickers.
Brother. Let me go back to the top. It's for Melik. 1, 2, 3,
Oh, he's
4,
gonna
5,
count them all
6,
now.
7, 8,
Oh, my
9,
goodness.
10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 5 white guy, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65.
Okay.
That's Ole Miss.
So, yes.
Would you like for me to pull up Mississippi
Please
State?
don't. No, we're
Roland,
good.
I don't need you to pull up Mississippi
We're good.
State again.
So of the 80 or so players on the Ole Miss football team,
the majority of them are
65
The majority of them
are black.
The overwhelming majority of them are black.
What did Kelly say?
But again,
what did Kelly say? Kelly, what'd you say?
Predominantly.
You say predominantly?
He said predominantly.
So you push back? Oh no, we could bring race in here.
I'm pushing back on the comparison to this as slavery.
Well,
I don't think
your
that they
viewpoint
are.
of slavery, Melik, is not the one that I'm talking about. I'm just talking about the strict premise of working without pay.
Right.
And that's what these athletes
And so for
are getting.
me, just generally, just as a practice, just like I push back on conservatives when they talk about Democrats being on a plantation or enslaved by the Democratic Party, I push back on it just across the board. So I just don't make any allowances for slavery, but slavery.
I mean, but that's what this is. It's not.
Well,
me
I'm
just
sure,
saying
but
a present.
there are people, there are some of my conservative allies, Republican allies, who say that Democrats are on a plantation.
But that's
and
not
they
the
just
point that I'm
haven't-
making. The point that
But
I'm
I'm saying-
making is that NCAA is enslaving predominantly black bodies
Well,
for profit.
they're not enslaving them. You know, they're not enslaved. I do get your point. I think it's a little hyperbolic, but I do get your point. But I don't think that they are actually enslaved. You know, these guys who are getting these grants or whatever.
Slaves got grants. They just couldn't pay them back.
What grants did slaves get?
There was plantations where slaves would get paid, but because they couldn't pay off the debt, they had to continue.
Sharecropping?
No, not sharecropping. They would get paid like prisoners in Louisiana now, like 3 cents on the dollar.
Oh, well.
And they could never literally pay for their freedom.
Well, I know that that's how it was with sharecropping.
That's what's happening
but
right now.
across the
Instead of 3
board,
cents,
I
it's
reject,
tuition
I
or a book
reject all
stipend.
comparisons
Bottom
to
line is here.
plantations
First of all, you can
slaveries
reject it all you want to.
Well, of course I
You
can.
reject all you want
Malik
to.
is
Bottom line is
rejecting
this
them.
is real simple, and that is athletes are putting a lot on the line, and I think it is
And I don't
stupid.
disagree
It is
with that.
asinine that a player cannot make money off their
Off of
jersey,
themselves.
off their face, off their own autograph.
But the school can.
And the schools,
Yeah.
right now the school can.
Right.
And so I'm down with this, and I hope other states also pass these same bills so athletes can get paid. Speaking of getting paid, a couple of black folks working under Donald Trump, arrested today on bribery charges. A former top official in the Federal Emergency Management Agency was arrested today for allegedly taking bribes from the head of a company that received $1.8 billion in federal contracts to repair Puerto Rico's power grid after Hurricane Maria devastated the island in 2017. Asha Tribble, y'all got her photo? Really, y'all didn't get the photo? Asha Tribble, let me go ahead and pull it up here so y'all can see. First of all, y'all saw that name. Y'all knew.
Yeah, sure, we know.
Y'all knew. Let me go ahead and pull it up. Asha Tribble, that's right. Here we go, right? Matter of fact, let me go to images right here. This is a New York Post story right here. Booyah, there we go. Y'all can pull it up. She, a deputy regional administrator, and another former female official, Javonda Patterson, and Donald Keith Ellison, I ain't found his photo. The former president of Cobra Acquisitions were charged in a 15-count indictment. Damn, y'all got a lot. You know what's been a lot of indictments under your boy Trump, Melik.
Well, yes, yes, this happened under Trump, but let's not act as if she was not a senior official.
No, but I'm saying is, but it's a lot. I mean, it's a lot of people.
The funny thing about this story, though, when I read it, I was like, wow, because there were a lot of conservatives who were talking about the fraud that was going on in Puerto Rico. And now we're seeing that that's exactly.
But the fraud wasn't going on in Puerto Rico. The fraud was going on at FEMA.
Right, at FEMA.
And they were based in Miami.
Well, in connection to what was happening in Puerto Rico, there's a lot of things that conservatives were actually out there talking about.
Yeah, okay.
Paying much attention. But let's not attack these black women, Roland.
Who?
Let's not.
I'm not attacking the black women. I read the story.
I know, Roland.
Kelly, how am I attacking them when I read the story? I wasn't the one who got arrested.
Well, I know, but let's support our sisters here and not.
Support her in bribery?
No, we don't have to paint them as Trump officials or anything.
They work under Trump.
Official.
I understand that, and they were also. I know one of them at least was an Obama official as well. So
okay, but now they're a Trump official.
So it's not like Trump brought them into his administration, and this is just a continuation of what's happening in Trump. This is something.
All I'm saying is, it's been a lot of indictments under your boy. Like a lot. Like your campaign manager, like your national security advisor.
There have been a few indictments.
Like
under this.
A few?
A few.
55.
None of them were related to the president, though.
Matter of fact, y'all have more.
None of them were related to the president.
Y'all have more indictments than y'all got black football players at Ole Miss.
You know what? Wow. Wow.
How many Aggies? I'm in on the Aggies. I'm sure it's probably the same thing too.
Yeah, we got black ball players as well. I'm not the one who's not denying it. You the one like, oh my God.
I didn't say that, Roland.
Yeah, you talking about predominant, whatever. Hold up. Let me go ahead and deal with this here. Let me deal with this here. So, Mike, what do you make of Bolton resigning? Trump saying he quit. Now I'm reading one story where Trump asked Bolton to go on the Sunday show to defend his policies. Bolton was like, hell no.
Complete dysfunction. And there were some reports late that came out that he was about to quit first. Trump found out about it and said, "Oh, I better ask."
Well, actually, he gave him his was crazy. According to John Roberts at Fox News, Kelly, he gave him his Bolton gave the resignation around 11:30. Trump tweets almost a half hour later, "Oh, I fired him." No, you can't. And this ain't the first time he's done that. Right, he did what matters. Like, oh no, I fired him. No, you didn't, you lying ass.
But it's just like, it's so petty, the lies, and it's like, if you lie about something this small.
He petty in chief.
Well, I mean, it's true, but it's just like, if you lie about something so small and so insignificant, like the big things that are literally happening, like, what exactly is the truth?
He spent a whole week lying about Alabama and a hurricane. And the fake map and the Sharpie.
A whole map and a Sharpie, which is technically a federal crime.
So Melik, So you gonna keep voting for this liar?
I do plan on voting for him.
So you don't mind his lying? Now I'm asking.
Yes, I do.
So you excuse his lying?
I have a problem with some of his misstatements.
Hold up, misstatements are lies.
I absolutely have.
So you have no problem voting for an absolute, undeniable liar?
Well, I'm not voting for him because he's my moral leader. I'm voting for him.
No, hold on. First of all, a liar, that's not making a moral judgment. First of all, hold on. I didn't bring up church. I didn't bring up religion. I didn't bring in any of that. You could be an atheist and lie.
So to your question of whether or not this is going to affect my vote for him, no.
So you don't mind.
Focus on policy.
You don't mind the constant lying.
Whether I mind it is not a determinant.
So you don't mind it.
Whether I'm a liar is not. Whether he's a liar is not a determinant of whether or not I'm going to vote for him. Because I don't base my vote on how much on whether.
Your point is I don't mind a crook as long as the crook has policies that I like.
I support the policies, and
what I'm saying is, if a crook is in charge,
he's not a crook.
What?
Well, he's not a crook. So.
First of all, let's find out about this Air Force plane stopping and staying at his doggone resort.
But he's not a crook.
Yeah, okay.
To your point.
But he a liar.
About John Bolton.
Is he a liar?
I'm pretty sure that John Bolton did.
Is he a liar?
As John Bolton said, that John Bolton offered his resignation. Trump told him to wait. and then the next day, Trump.
So I'm saying, so you don't mind.
Really good spin.
So you don't mind his line.
That's a great
that is
spin.
what he said.
That's a great
John
spin.
Bolton did say that. John Bolton said that he offered up his resignation. Trump said, hold off on it, and then Trump comes out and say, oh, I fired him. I'm pretty sure I'm pretty sure how John Bolton said it is how it happened.
You don't mind him lying?
Yes, I do, and I do criticize him on this show, and you know that. So, yep.
What policies, by the way, besides the tax cut and the judges? Because McConnell gets his judges done, so that's not really a Trump thing.
Well, it's under his administration. We can't separate the judges from the administration that actually sends up.
So give me the other policies besides the judges.
Well, where we're talking about the tax cuts, where we're talking about what's happening now. You know, this is HBCU week, and so
and he was talking today.
Absolutely, it was HBCU week, and I'm sure all of us are proud for the $2 million STEM grant that Spelman got from I forgot which department. Which agency was it? But I'm sure all of us are excited about things like that.
Was that the first time Spelman got a federal grant?
Well, it doesn't matter. It happened.
I'm just asking.
But it happened under his administration, and so that's something that he should get credit for.
Hey, I'm gonna show y'all this here. This is the New York Times chart of all the people who have been forced out, resigned, quit, indicted. So let's go ahead and roll it.
And
let's go ahead and roll it.
None of them are related to
Greenland. No, these are all under Trump.
Well, none of them.
No, these are all under.
Related to any.
These are all under Trump. Fired, resigned, forced out. Resign. Look at that. Nielsen, Shine, McMahon, Wilson, Long, Shaw, Mattis, Zinke, Ayers, Kelly, Sessions, Haley, McGahn, Pruitt. Forced out after numerous accusations of ethics violations. That's your boy Trump who hired him. Then, of course, we got Zinke. We know he had some serious conflicts of interest, ethics violations over at Interior. That's your boy, Mellick.
It is.
That's who he hired. And look at this here. Forced out by Bolton. Look at Rex Tillerson, Secretary of State, fired by Trump on Twitter. I guess you don't mind that. Hope Hicks, she quit.
It's not how I would have done it.
McMaster, forced out. McCabe, fired. Dearborn, Kahn. Look at all y'all. I'm still ain't done. Porter, y'all remember Porter? He was of course accused of beating his wife and girlfriend, but Trump wanted him to stay. Powell, Newman, Price. Schiller, Gorka, you know, that crazy fool who's not really a PhD. So Bannon, well, we know about that racist. Scaramucci there, 10 days. Reince Priebus, Sean Spicer, okay, lying about crowd size. McFarland, Comey, Walsh, Flynn.
How you not going to have Omarosa?
Flynn.
Oh, that's Newman.
Flynn, that's Newman. That's
no, I'm saying I'm surprised.
That's Newman. Omarosa, Manigault, Newman.
Oh, okay.
Keep the hell up.
I didn't see it.
And of course, Mike Flynn is going to be sentenced in December for lying to the feds.
None of them are related to any sort of crime that Trump committed. So doesn't look good.
Guess what, Mellick?
Doesn't look good.
No such chart existed in 8 years of Obama.
It might not have, but
no, hold on, stop. Let me help you.
Well, I'm sorry, it did not.
Thank you very much.
It did not.
I just want you to go ahead and accept an established fact.
It did not.
You cannot find a chart like this under 8 years of Obama.
Well, Obama was not.
We ain't even 3 years. We ain't even fully 3 years in on Trump. And Lord have mercy.
Obama's administration was not as unorthodox as Trump, I would agree.
No, actually, I'll probably say it wasn't full of liars, cheaters, and people who have no ethics.
Well,
or no morals or no values.
Well, I'm not going to make any moral judgments on these people.
I'm just saying, but with your boy,
with your list,
your boy's criticizing Mark Sanford for him having an affair.
Of course he's going to criticize.
Your boy shouldn't talk.
Well, of course he's going to criticize.
But your boy shouldn't talk.
But of course he's going to criticize.
But your boy shouldn't talk.
But of course he's going to talk.
I mean, he cheated on the first wife with the second with the third.
We already know
third with the, come on now.
That this is what people criticize people's personal relationships.
No. But of anybody, he shouldn't talk about nobody cheating.
No one should be criticizing anyone's personal relationships.
But that's your. But you're gonna vote for him though.
Politicians do all the time.
But you're gonna vote for him
on both sides of the island.
But you gonna vote for him?
Find out absolutely.
Okay. All right. I got you. All right, y'all. Well, look, we're going to keep holding this feet to the fire.
2020.
First of all, America going to be real great when his ass is walked out of the Oval Office
2024.
right into some handcuffs in the Southern District of New York, because I'm telling y'all right now, he is getting indicted when he is out. Yes, right. Now, y'all, we'll keep hope alive, all right. That's right. And it's like, and a two of y'all black folks who keep talking about this thing. Y'all see, in a new recent poll, Trump has a 3% approval rating among black women. Please let
It's
me.
not surprising.
Please let me know when y'all locate those 3% of black women.
Surprise. Black women only vote for Democrats.
Please, you know why? Because they're smart.
Well, you can say that they are the largest partisan voters
I will stand with black women any day when it comes to how they vote.
With them too.
Because
but
black
96% of them
what
voted
black
for
women
Obama.
are saying is
95% of
black
them
women
voted
are
for
saying
Obama,
is we're not gonna vote for a man.
They don't have any. They don't have a lot of versatility as far as their vote.
Black women have said we're not gonna vote for a man who prides himself
Republican.
on grabbing women by the vagina.
They said we're not going to vote for any
Black women are saying.
That's what black
women are saying if you Republican and y'all keep
And
suppressing.
we're not
I'm not
gonna vote
done. Black women are saying y'all keep suppressing the vote. We ain't voting for you. If y'all keep
you
sitting,
Mitt Romney,
if y'all keep
we ain't
sitting
gonna
here
vote for you.
trying to sit here and take the Affordable Care Act, we ain't voting for you. All I'm saying, Republicans, y'all got issues with black women, and guess what? Power to the sisters. Y'all want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Go to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Join our Bring the Funk fan club where we keep it real. Your dollars certainly go to support what we do. Tomorrow, I'm going to be broadcasting from Houston, site of the Democratic debate on Thursday. Also, we got a school choice rally taking place there, so I'll be speaking there. We live streaming that event as well, again, on TSU's campus on Thursday for the Democratic debate. So we look forward to all of that. Friday, we'll be broadcasting from the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation, AOC. I've got several panels on that Friday. I'll be moderating, and then we'll be broadcasting the show from there as well. And so please support what we do. We are independent. We are not owned by any corporation. We keep it real and honest and unapologetically black all day. We about as black as Ole Miss football team. I gotta go. Holla! You want to check out Roland Martin Unfiltered? YouTube.com/Roland S. Martin. And subscribe to our YouTube channel. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. It's Roland Martin Unfiltered. See that name right there? Roland Martin Unfiltered. Like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's YouTube.com/Roland S. Martin. And don't forget to turn on your notifications so when we go live, you'll know it.
Hey everybody, this is your man Fred Hammond, and you're watching Roland Martin, my man, Unfiltered.
Hi, this is Essence Atkins, and you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
Hey yo, Peace World, what's going on? It's the Love King of R&B, Raheem Devon, and you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
Hi, my name is Brescia Webb, and you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered. Ow. Well, I like a nice filter usually, but we can be unfiltered.
What's going on? This is Tobias Trevelyan, and if you're ready, you are listening to and you are watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
What's up? I'm Lance Gross, and you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
Hi, this is Cheryl Lee Ralph, and you are watching Roland Martin Unfiltered. I mean, could it be any other way? Really? It's Roland Martin.
You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. It's Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered daily digital show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing $50 each for the whole year. You can make this possible. RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Hey fam, want to check out Roland Martin Unfiltered? The blackest show on all of digital, cable, and broadcast. Check out our audio podcast. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. It's Roland Martin Unfiltered. Press play.